Wow, what an amazing way to celebrate St. Patrick. Locked indoors, not drunk. Uh, Times have changed. Times have really changed. But show must go on. This episode, just to break it down, I reel it in, give you some updates. Was in the studio all weekend. The music is really coming along. Each time we go in is better and better. But it's like, man, if we went in 5, 6, 7, 8 times, I feel like I don't even know what I feel. But they're getting closer. The songs are getting really close to what is in my brain, and like that was the biggest challenge I found in the last little while making music. I know what I wanted, didn't know how to get there. And I guess with these kind of rocky sounding songs, I'm finally able to know what I want in my head and make it happen at the studio, which is super exciting. They're not completely done. I have one more day at the end of the month. I have to go in and we didn't get them done, so I have to go in and do vocals and update some guitars. But as long as I don't fuck that up, they're like they sound in my dome, which is exciting. I also talk about love. I watched The Notebook for the first time last night. And, if that movie doesn't make you think about love, I don't know what will. I talk about how it's kind of a similar, if love feels similar to me, or the pursuit of love feels similar to me as to the pursuit of music as a career. Just aimless, lots of feeling involved, no real steps or guidance, and just sometimes you win, sometimes these people don't, and you just don't know why. Other than that, I reaffirm kind of my plan, and talk about how I'm gonna go from almost famous to Famos. I don't know when, but fucking some point in the near future, baby. Anyway, enjoy. Let's get into it. I'm almost famous. Chill out, mom, I'm doing it my own way. I'm almost famous. I'll freak off yet, I'll make my money someday. This will be more like an ASMR experience than a podcast. I find when I wake up in the morning, I have no, my eyes are fucking bloodshot. My voice sounds like this. I just want to talk at a low volume. I don't know why I can't handle that. There's no, it's either full volume or my voice sounds like it's coming out of a clarinet tube. I don't even know how to describe it. Yeah, but there's a reason I'm quiet. It's because it's the morning, and I'm about to go to work at my other job, my part-time finance job. And the podcast yesterday, normally I'd like to do them not in the morning so I can make noise. But I watched The Notebook last night for the first time. And yeah. So you get it out there. If you've seen The Notebook, just gotta watch it. I can't believe I've gone this long without seeing it, but I feel like I had seen it because I've seen so many clips. And I pretty much got the vibe of the story, but it was good to watch. Kind of fired me up again. As a man who's never really, I'm so one of the existential things that really gets me is the fact that I'm so focused on making myself better, or making myself, or just honestly figuring my life out so it's sorted, that I haven't really felt love, that Ryan Gosling Notebook love yet. And it's almost, I think the movie kind of sums it up properly. In the movie, his character is just someone that accepts exactly what they have. Oh, I think he works at a lumber yard, and he's just I'll never be rich. and I'll just never amount to anything but one thing, which is like, I'll make this nice house. I know it's like a movie, it's unrealistic, but I find that, I don't know, like in reality, yeah, like people that aren't so preoccupied with building something or making something or changing something in their life have like a little bit more room for I don't know. It was cool. But yeah, speaking of love, my buddy was telling me a funny story, but I guess he'd been going on some dates with a girl he met on, I think, like Tinder or Bumble, one of them. And I guess this is kind of happening now, but he went on like 5 or 6 like walks, like kind of like, I guess that's the social distance way to get to know someone, because you can't go to a bar or a restaurant or whatever. So, and you don't really want to have someone over right away, because it's like, what? How do you take things to the next level if like they come over, first date is at your place? But I mean, I guess sometimes that's all there is to do, especially in the winter. But I guess they had gone on some walks, and like the 5th or 6th walk, they decide to, have a real date, go back to the apartment. And I guess this girl, after they were chilling for a bit, I guess this girl has like a make or break. Like she has I don't know why she waited this long to bring it up, but she's basically like, what do you vote for? Like, are you conservative or liberal? And like, fucking my poor buddy, he's not conservative, but he's just not a cuck. Like he votes. He said he's voted for both in the past. That was his answer. And when I say not a cuck, I mean like, not that liberals are cucks or conservatives are right. I mean, it's just that I don't think you should be either. I think you should vote for, I don't know, whatever's looking promising at the time. I couldn't possibly see a world where I wouldn't vote either. And he said that, but he said it like a little bit less, even as like brash as I said it there. He was just like, oh, like, I voted conservative in the past, but I'm definitely like pretty liberal, and down to like talk about whatever, chat about whatever. Like I like talking about stuff, and like that was like a make or break for her. And like he said, the date got like really weird. Like at that point, it's like the fact that he wasn't like, oh, like we gotta hit him with like a fuck Donald Trump, and Stephen Harper is a loser, and like Justin Trudeau's daddy. You gotta hit him with that stuff to get past that make or break. I thought that was a little funny tidbit speaking about love. But to bring it back to the Gosling, like to the Gosling thing, I am wondering, like, I know I'm not broken. I feel emotions. I feel like for girls. I feel regular, good old fashioned, like love for family and friends, apathy, empathy. I got every emotion: anger, excitement, passion. Like I get every emotion in there. So this idea that like love is not going to be one of them. Like, come on. I just, and the idea, I think, that I'm blaming myself too is silly. But yeah, I know I watched that movie, and like, it seems so like soothing just to like not be such an active guider in your own life, and just to accept whatever bullshit you got going on, and just be like, nope, I'm a logger. Nope. Do you want to, like, is there anything you strive to do? It's like, nah, I just want to fix up this house and like marry the love of my life. And like, I just couldn't identify less with that. Like, I mean, I want that. I'm just saying in terms of where I sit, which is we just got out of the studio, did a couple more songs. We got a grant application back that we applied for in the middle of like peak COVID fuckery. It's like the big music grant that artists in, I don't know if it's Ontario or if it's Canada, can apply for. I think it's like 20 to 60 grand. And I mean, we barely missed the cutoff to get accepted. It's out of 100, I believe. And we got an 80%. And I think you need an 86% to make it. And boy, would that have been a good little pick me up. But yeah, like be like the other challenge in my life, other than the fact that I'm just like I like to work. I'm working on myself, and I'm hoping that my hope is just that like if I work on myself enough, I'll attract good quality partners. And I mean, so far I think I do, and they've all been like I don't know, like I like they've all been like people that I've thought I've had that would have the potential to develop further feelings for, and like it's usually just for whatever reason, and it's probably like my kind of career stage that they fizzle out before anything really develops. But so like at least like going forward, I'm just hoping that work on myself, and then you become like a real desirable person. Not that I feel like I'm not already. I'm just saying like I think people need to see it on the outside as much as I believe it on the inside. And as much as people think they're not shallow, or it's not shallow, it's just like how can you see potential? Like everyone's got potential. And I was watching this thing the other day that just talks about how like this, I think it was they were complaining, or like they were like bringing down women for like just picking the winners and not I don't know, like not just gambling on guys that are, but so many guys are fucking losers, and like I for all I know I could be one of those guys, right? So I don't know, it'd be so hard. It'd be like looking at people that make music and guessing which ones are going to make it and stuff. And I guess love doesn't really depend on the career, but I mean, how do you like do you just I have no idea how love works. Do you just date like any career, any lifestyle, anything, and then just it's all personality? But like I have no idea. I'm so excited to figure this shit out. Getting older is not as daunting as like you think. You want to be young forever. You want to be I want to be healthy and fit. Like I like how like able I am, but I don't miss like the not knowing things and like not experiencing things. Like I love how much like the only thing I miss is like how reckless kind of it was. You could just like absolutely just could just make mistakes and like do stupid stuff, and it was funny. And now it's like, I mean, you still can, but it there's like a bit more of a looming like, okay, like this would be fun and all if you just had your shit sorted, like you're just got money in the bank and like music doing well, and then it's pretty jokes. And I'd like to get back to that, but no, like I'd love to. I can't wait to figure out, like I usually understand things eventually, like discipline and how to actually change yourself, I finally feel like I get. I get a lot through all my experience. I get a lot of about perspective and emotions and the self-talk in your head and stuff like that, and just feel good about everything I know there. And it's like at some point in my life I will figure out the answers to these questions, and that's going to be exciting. I'll have like a family and all this stuff in the future. That's just like super exciting. But in the meantime, instead of just like standing on the side of a highway with my thumb out, hoping that like I figure this, like, oh, that person I stumble across. I'm like, why don't I just become the dopest person I can be? Try to achieve exactly what I want. And then hopefully, the more I put myself out there, the more someone is going to see like just myself as what I am, because I just like slap it all out there, and they'll be like, that's exactly what I want in a person. And then, otherwise, if I'm just under a fucking tarp, just stuck inside thanks to Doug Ford and this pandemic, not making podcasts, not making music, not working at an office, not meeting any, like literally, how do you fucking, like, I'm gonna meet my wife on Tinder. Also, it bugs me that like this idea of your soulmate is just, it's supposed to be within like a 10-kilometer radius of you, and even if you take like Tinder and that stuff out of the equation, and you're talking about like, okay, you got university or traveling. I mean, just the idea that the person for you just happens to like be close to you as well. And like also the idea that people like most people die within like 10 miles of where they were born, or like there's these stats. That shit gets in my head. I grew up less than 5 miles from where I'm sitting right now. Other than going down to London for university, like I'm within 10 miles. And I don't know. This is the shit that goes through my mind. But yeah, anyway, being an artist is one of the biggest challenges, I'd say, besides finding love. I'd say they're actually kind of like a similar pursuit. They're like unguided. There's no real pathway. It's more of an art than a science. There's tons of self-doubt involved. And I'd say like the work to find love would be probably working on yourself and meeting people. And then for music, it's pretty much working on music and meeting people, or networking, or getting yourself out there. But yeah, I kind of get destructive when I work on the arts, like when I work on music. Kind of like the same destructiveness that I said in a few podcasts back when I was getting this part-time job, because I really feel like a failure sometimes when I don't just ramp up my entrepreneurial activities to make my income, because I know that's what I want. So when I get a job, I always feel like a personal failure, not like a life failure, because jobs are tight. Like some of my buddies have fucking unreal jobs. And yeah, it's almost like a curse that the experiences that like led me here. I worked for myself a few times, and I got the itch, the bug. Like I just really fucking enjoyed it. And whereas like I know buddies that just couldn't fucking be bothered to be their own boss. It's a nightmare. Yeah, with music, the the lack of a pathway and the sheer amount of people that are good and putting music out there, and the fact that, it's like becoming a successful musician is like becoming an executive at a company in terms of likelihood. You only see the top. You only see the people that are, like managerial, AVP, VP, and then like the big stars are in the C-suite. If like music was, as a career, was a big corporation. And that's really tough because the majority and the mass of the workforce are, directors, managers, or kind of like that tier. And I don't really know what that kind of like, I don't see at least like that tier in a company is making money, and usually enough to fucking have a decent life too. But that tier in music is zero money and some exposure, I guess, like a little bit of recognition and maybe, I don't know, I don't even know, but you really only start getting paid above a certain level, and that really fucking bugs me too. So I hear a lot of people talk about, not having a plan B and just diving head first and just giving everything up to try 100% to be, a musician. I just don't think I can do that. Like, that is just such a I maybe I'm just not a gambler, but it feels like a gamble. And I know all these motivational people say bet on yourself and all that, but I am betting on myself. But I'm betting on myself to be able to also earn money and do music. And I know people do that shit out there. I see people that do earnings and creativity pretty well and separate. And there's some people that do, they find a way to turn their creativity into earnings really quickly. Like they're a photographer that goes like immediately into like, oh, people got to pay me to do this, and I'm doing photo shoots for people and stuff like that. And I guess it would be tight to create music for money. I guess like people pay for commercials and stuff. But at the end of the day, I truly actually don't like creating for that stuff. And what I like is creating my music. That's what I like. That's what I want to do. If I was a photographer, I would probably like do what my buddy Alex Mitchell does, and no one pays him. He goes out and he takes pictures of what he likes, and he puts it out there, what he enjoys, and that's what he enjoys. And it doesn't mean there wouldn't be a time and a place where there's something I'd like to specifically make music for. But I don't know. It's not, for me, the art isn't someone coming along and paying me to write like jingles, or I would do background music for commercials and videos, but that would just be me writing songs that I like that also just happen to fit for a movie. Otherwise, like maybe like selling, I could write songs and sell it. It's still like me writing songs I want to hear. I know that's a career, but for the most part, like I legitimately want to be more the entertainer than the writer. I want to have recognition for my songs and my writing, and I want the songs to be popular enough that it unlocks the ability for me to be the entertainer. So when I look at it that way, it's like I would rather not just be a fleeting musician, as like if the music dreams don't pan out, which I think they will, I really am confident, else I wouldn't be doing it. If the music dreams don't pan out, then I don't think I'd want to just be kind of like the equivalent of middle management in music. I'd rather be middle management in fucking middle management, like or have a small business where I could be my own boss and generate kind of like life freedom that way. So when I kind of like look at things like that, I see a life where potentially I make money and I use that money to create, and that seems like a more sustainable way to ensure that I'm doing what I want to do, regardless of if I get signed or if a label or a manager picks me up. But yeah, that's it's a cycle, because I get really destructive around these studio dates and when we put music out, because it feels like you only have this, because it's so expensive. It's like $500 a day, and then all the after work, like you got to go back in for a session to mix and master, and it comes out to about $1,000 a song, not including promotion or videos or anything. And I get really stressed because we've only written 10 songs, and then we choose 2 to go forward, and are they the best 2, and are they going to sound as good as I get all this fucking destructiveness around this anxiety, and I just have a bad week where I disassociate and don't eat well and just like don't sleep well, and it's kind of cool. Art is kind of cool in that way. It's just so different. But luckily the songs sounded sick, and I truly think these songs, they sound to me, and I've always had what I thought was like a good ear of picking like songs that are dope. They sound to me like they're on the level of the songs I hear on the radio, for sure. Some of the songs you hear on the radio are only on there because the band themselves is popular, not because the song itself is exceptional. And I don't know if my songs are exceptional yet, but I think they're definitely better than a lot of the songs I just hear on passing plays on the radio stations I like. And it's exciting. I kind of refined my plan in life, but around that like little thing that I just said, where I'm going to kind of have like just the two-pronged approach. And the two-pronged approach is going to be make a lot of music, make the content around music, and then pick the best songs that we've written and put it out, and just reach out to people and be a squeaky wheel and apply for grants and stuff like that. And I think that will work. The fact that when we write 10 songs, we have like honestly 10 really good songs, and if we were to record maybe like 6 to 8 of them, I'd feel really confident about it. And we'll probably just go back and write 50 fucking songs this year and record the best 10, and that'll make me feel even better, and pick the best 10, and that way we can be super confident that at the very least we're kind of putting our best foot forward and we're getting better with each song. But it's not to say that the 10 songs aren't already fantastic. It's just that if we were to just record those 10 songs, we're not giving ourselves the best opportunity to really show our skills and stuff. But the most artists, and I feel like most artists, learn by playing other people's music and practicing other people's stuff, and then they go to write, and it's like this really kind of hard process for them. And that's why a lot of people say, oh, just write, and that's, you just got to write 100 songs, write a song a day, and just create. Or there's just like I see a lot of artists that do those type of like write everyday challenges, and they just put it out on TikTok or whatever. put a piece of them out there. And I don't know if I might be wrong, but I don't know if I'm just kind of different about how I write, or if my skill set is kind of, I think my skill set is more writing than playing or singing. Like if I were to look at the value I think I bring to music, it's my production and writing skills. Like, I'm able to see music in a certain way and feel it in a certain way, and it helps me helps me create it and stuff like that. And it's because I never learned other people's music, really. Growing up, I would, most guitarists have like this whole repertoire of covers, and only really recently I've got to get that repertoire because I've been playing cover shows with the band, and I love playing other people's music. But when I was playing music growing up, it would be learn one or two songs, and then those one or two songs would give me some new skills, but then I would coast off those skills writing my own music off it for as long as I could. And only when I got bored of making my own music, I would then learn another song or two that I really liked, and then they would usually have some new chords or some new way of playing in it, and then I would immediately switch back to fucking making my own stuff. So yeah, I was talking to Rob the other day about how, yes, we really should be writing more, but I also don't think we should be down on ourselves that we've, for the most part, we've recorded and released, I'd say maybe 60% of the music we've written. Maybe around 40-50, because there's a lot of loops and stuff that we write that we don't consider maybe worthwhile finishing, and that could also factor into the equation when they say write a lot, is that we do write a lot. Like, I have voice memos just all the time of ideas. We record little videos of tons of ideas we have, but I think I guess I'm not really factoring that into the equation, because I filter through those, and then I can hear which ones I want to make into a song. And then then when I look back at our repertoire, I only see 10 finished songs, and I'm like, wow, these are all really good, and I really like all these, and I probably would record all these. But I guess I'm forgetting the stage where I filtered all the ideas out in the loops and the melodies, or we usually sometimes even combine our favorite like ideas into it. So maybe that's what people mean by write a lot. And but yeah, to stay on track, is what I was telling Robbie the other day, is I don't think we should feel like bad or anything about the fact that we release and we like the songs we finish enough to record. And I would honestly, if we had gotten that grant that we got so close to getting, we would have turned those 10 songs into an LP, and I would have been fucking pumped, because I love all those. I think they're all great. But the rejection gives us an opportunity to write 50, and then when we get this grant next year, pick 10 of those 50 and make a. I honestly wouldn't make an album either, because nobody listens to albums of small up and coming artists. I would make 10 singles and market them each individually, and it's just that gives you basically almost a year's worth of content. When it comes to like the pictures and the videos and the album art, and each song is like a little lottery ticket that may, you might scratch it, and then the lottery ticket goes, hey, a manager now sees you and wants to work with you, or hey, this playlist picked you up and now it's got 1 million plays, or hey, like there's just like this little thrill of releasing art that I love, but I also hate, because it honestly feels like playing the lottery, and it's because it's not that we're not good enough, it's that there's a lot of people that are good enough. And we're banking on the fact that not only are we good enough, but we're also going to find a way to get our music out there. So that's a bit of the challenge. But I when I was at the studio, I was talking with a music manager there. he owns a studio, and while Robbie was recording one of his guitar parts, I just did a little discomfort moment, and I just saw him, and I was like, hey, like, I'm a lost artist. And I didn't say those words, but I just was like, hey, like, I need some help. And he chatted with me for a bit, and what he told me was a little comforting and a little scary, but he said that music managers also don't know what to do. He said they're just like, I've brought this back to love and women, but he said they're good at choosing winners that have already won at something. They have no idea how to take, someone that is, they have no better idea than maybe you do of how to take you and bring you to a level where you can succeed at it. He said, but there's a lot of capable managers that like you kind of said, I think I can figure it out, and picked a band that they believed in, and figured it out with them or for them. But he's like, it's really no different than what you're going through right now, like just writing music, recording the best stuff, making content, networking, and just asking everybody and for help, and asking for everything you want, and hoping someone can see the vision. And he's like, when you go to a manager and you go, I got great music, and they go, let me hear your music, you want to be able to say, like, I got 50, like, what are you in the mood for? Like, you want to show them that you are just a machine. And if that doesn't work, then you got to, again, the content and the getting out there, you got to find a way to just break through in the slightest way, where you can show the people, like I say about showing a future partner, the path. They just have to see, they just have to catch a glimpse of the path that you are, you don't have to be successful or whatever, but that you are probably going to get there. That you do the right things. The music you're making is liked and accepted, and also that you have a stream, an endless kind of supply of it, and that you're passionate, but then you can also pay your bills. And yeah, so I talked to him about it, and it was kind of reassuring when he's like, these managers don't fucking know either. He's like, unfortunately, you gotta just do what I just said. And then he told me, he's like, why don't you find the manager of your favorite band and start there and start reaching out to them. And fortunately enough, we've already done that, because fortunately enough, the manager of our favorite band is a friend of mine's brother. And so in terms of general outlook, these are part of the reasons why I think we can make it. I know two successful music managers pretty well. One well enough that I'm like texting because it's through my sister's friend group, and one that's my friend's brother that he'll answer my DMs, and he said he'll listen to our music and pay attention to it. I got friends that are successful for themselves that just happen to be in kind of like artist or celebrity like related fields that have some connections and stuff like that. But also the fact that we got such a high rating on this grant that, I'm going to be honest, we did not put our best foot forward for, because it was in quarantine when we were struggling so hard with our success, just personally on the day-to-day on writing and whatever. The music we put forward for that grant was pretty rudimentary, like in our songwriting. There were songs that the idea for this grant is, I thought you had to submit, and they said you had to submit songs that you needed money to finish, not songs that you've already have the money to, like, I don't know, but it's so the songs that we want to record of this like pack of 10, we didn't want to submit those because we're like, well, we want to record these two songs in studio, but then the studio got canceled anyway and pushed all the way back twice until after we got this application back, but we didn't know that was coming. So the idea was that you submit the music you want to get funding for. And you don't go out and like make that music while you're waiting to hear back from the grant. So we submitted songs that were cool and they were artsy, and I like them, but I didn't think they didn't really make sense in terms of like the image we're trying to put forward, and they didn't really match our marketing plan and our everything, our marketing plan, saying what type of band we're like, what type of radio and plays, and kind of where we lie, which is funny I say that because one of the songs is called Where We Lie. And then we submit like Where We Lie it's a dark, moody kind of like ballad that has no chorus, and it's like this guitar part that Robbie sent me with a lot of like reversed reverbs and interesting things, and I wrote a little like ballad over it as if I was a soldier. So it's like it doesn't really make sense, because I'm not saying that I can't identify with being a soldier or whatever, but it just like it was just talking about like death and like, I don't know, all this stuff, and it was cool. It's a cool song. I really like it, and when we play for people, they enjoy it. But then if we submitted another song that was like maybe more cohesive, it would have been okay. But the other song I submitted was basically it had like an 808 bass, like a really like electronic bass, and I wrote it. It's got like a samples in it, and it was called Indigo Child, and it's got like this sample from like a 1950s safari talking about a panther or a jaguar, I forget, and like it's got like a growl in it, like on the breakouts. It's like, it's just so not the music we're making. Like the music we're making right now is like with the band kind of 90s vibe emo sound, but mixed with modern not sadness and not tackiness. It's kind of like stadium indie. Like when I say stadium rock, like talking like Catfish and the Bottlemen, kind of like, it just sounds like it's full band and should be played at a venue. And so like it wasn't cohesive, and like that's what the grant said back to us. High ratings. They rated the music highly. They're like, talent and whatever, blah blah blah, rated highly. Our marketing plan, they rated highly, rated everything highly. But the music, they said it was scattered and it was, I forget the exact words, but they said it was exactly what I jumbled, and kind of like they didn't get the vision. So going into the next grant and we talked to a judge about it, and he's like, no, he's like, you submit your best two songs next time. He's like, do not worry about the whole like technicality of do you need the money to finish those specifically, or if it's more about finishing the next 10. Because he's like, these two are like, if you give us money, we make these two times 10. And we have, or 12 or 20 or however many like you want to make on an album. You say that we got a bunch of these, and these are just the best example. And I don't know. So he kind of said to like do it that way. So I think we could get this grant, and at least in the meantime, just basically take every dollar I have into putting out music so that I can send it to this music managers and just be a squeaky wheel, and just reach out, put out TikToks, just begging the fucking internet, like just begging the internet to get exposure. And like, you kind of have to be a bit of a whore. Like you kind of have to slut yourself out and just be like, please. And maybe you don't have to say it like please exactly like that, but you got to be like, listen, please listen to us, because you're really just asking for attention, which is hilarious because it's free to give, and but there's just so many people asking for it. Every single person on TikTok, and that's maybe 1 billion people, I don't know, is going, look at me, I want to be looked at. And I'm sure a lot of people agree that it's different looking at people for a 7-second TikTok versus looking at them for a song that takes a year and $1,000 to make. I think everyone is fine with that, but also it takes more attention to look at an artist and their songs or a podcast, even for that matter, than a TikTok. So it's all relative, but that's what you got to do, and you just got to hope. You hope that breaks through, and that's kind of where we're at. And the songs in the studio, making music in the studio is fun. I'll tell you that. I definitely can see the enjoyment and the love for this career that would come if I wasn't paying for that studio, or if I had the money where paying for that studio wasn't such a stress, where we didn't finish a song. We only got halfway through one of the songs, and we have to go back to the studio and tack on another $500 a day. And that was like a fucking arrow to the heart for me right now. I'm just so on the line of like having enough money. But if that stress wasn't there, I would be like, sick. I get to go back in the studio and like do this stuff. And I love the idea of having fresh music to put out, and just, I can't wait to do the music video idea we have for it. That's all the stuff I love. And as much as I don't love begging and being a squeaky wheel and doing all this other content and all that shit, it's going to be worth it. It's going to be worth it. And yeah, that's kind of like where a little update on the music scene. So two new songs almost ready. Probably release them, one in the spring, just when a little tickle of good weather is out there, and one early summer. But by the time we release them, we should be getting back in the studio. The studio is booked for almost 60 days from now to 60 days in the future. At least the studio we like, and the guy we like, and we probably still use him because we work so well together. And that'll give us some time to save up another few grand and hop back in there. So as we're releasing music, we'll already be recording, and then we'll kind of keep the perpetual cycle of always having content, always having music. And that'll really help me when I'm reaching out to these managers and reaching out to industry people or influencers, or like just anyone that can that we can collaborate with or can help us get exposure. But yeah, that's the kind of plan. And on the other half of my plan is just to make actual money, not from music, because music, there's no live shows, there's no money coming in, it's a money suck. And I don't want to be a starving artist. I just don't. So why don't I just be one of those people that spends a considerable chunk of a considerable chunk of time making money in a flexible way that I can then turn around and make music. And that's how my days kind of look right now. So I do pretty much half the day is spent doing administrative existing work, whether it's like editing photos for the real estate business, doing finance work for my finance business or finance part-time job, or doing any of the upkeep for my my jewelry business and jewelry partnership. I like to do that stuff, in the morning, work for about 4 or 5 hours on it. And usually that's, if you do 4 or 5 hours a day, that's usually takes care of that. And then the second half of my day, I like to spend a few hours doing sales. And when I say like to, I mean I fucking hate it. But it's, part of my like path to success is, I'll do a couple hours where it's sales and what I call kind of like research, because I want to move away from what I'm selling. What I'm selling is photography services right now for real estate agents and homes. But I want to move into the most flexible earnings, which is passive income. Like for me, it goes employment, entrepreneurial, and then I guess passive is technically entrepreneurial, but like entrepreneurial, I more mean like you're providing a product or a service. And then there's like passive income, which is you're managing assets or you're setting up a business that is earns on its own. And examples of passive earnings are investments like stocks or cryptocurrencies. But again, that's a whole knowledge set that I may not be interested in. But other things like assets like real estate, or if you like own anything that you can generate an income from, like is an income earning asset, like a car that you rent out, or a Airbnb space, or you own a vending machine, or you own anything that you can buy that pays a cash flow out. And I kind of want to look into that. So I have a couple hours where, I might do one sales activity, whether it's a group of cold calls or a group of emails, and I'll spend a little section of time kind of looking into how I can switch from selling the entrepreneurial like real estate photos to passive income, because then I would love to be able to switch my days from in the morning, instead of doing my investment or my finance part-time job and the real estate photography job, I would love to just help my jewelry partner grow our business and manage my passive earning strategy. If it's stocks or cryptos, it'd be making some trades. If it's real estate, it would be, whether it's research or whatever the asset is, it would be like, I would love to, like if it was real estate, it might just be like managing, like organizing your money to make sure bills are paid and then the tenants pay, or like, I don't know I'm giving an example. But with my next kind of 12 months, that's where I have my sights set. And this podcast is my way of locking in some form of accountability. I know there's not many listeners that hear this and go, okay, like I'll hold you to it. You would absolutely forgive me in a second if I don't. But there's a part of me that doesn't like being a phony and a fraud. So that's why I still put it out there. And there's a friend of mine that listens, Alex Merkelami, who I said I was going to check in kind of in 9 months, and I told him this whole plan around Christmas time last year, or like this past Christmas. So I don't know. I just like, that's where I'm at. I want to spend basically the first kind of 6 hours of my day doing that, or just, I know some days I can't. Like today, I'm going to the office right after this podcast. I have a 8-9 hour day where I got to go into this part-time job, but that means I then spend 8-9 hours tomorrow doing something different. I can slide things around. I'm flexible. I want to spend, like the first kind of 6 hours doing that. And then I want to spend the next 3-4 hours working on music. And I know eventually it would be nice if this passive income idea pans out. I will be able to flip that to working for 4 hours and music for 5, 6. And then, it's just a typical kind of like 10-ish hour workday, which it sounds like a lot, but it's not when you're doing it's not a lot when you're doing music for 6 hours. Like, music is fun. And especially when you're working from home and you're flexible, that's in that 10 hours is, a nice enjoyable lunch. I got time in the morning to exercise, and, it's not that crazy. And anyway, so that's my kind of plan. And, it's a little bit of it was a slight rework of the routine that I've put forward before. The routine before didn't include specific times for sales and for kind of this like new venture exploration. It was just work chunk, music chunk, and I was like, I'll fill in the blanks, but I've had to go in and fill in the blanks of what I'm doing in each chunk, or else I will just not do sales. If it's not baked into the routine where I have to do it, I will just not do it. And music is a little bit better because I will do music, but I have to like bake in like the reaching out and the TikToks or the content, or else I won't do that stuff. And so it's just about I've just put kind of like more like hard things into the routine, like make a piece of content a day during this period, and then write for a chunk of the period, and maybe reach out to somebody like every day. If I just did that shit every day, I don't see how good wouldn't come of it. And it's terrifying. And the trying to implement this aggressive of a routine on top of the anxiety I was feeling and the stress I was feeling from recording music makes you really not want to get up in the morning and really be destructive. And I had a hard week this last week, just trying to deal with both fronts, knowing what I need to do every day and how much I don't want to do that, because I'm such a comfort whore and like junkie. I just love being comfortable and not like having any issues and just being such a couch potato, because I've been doing it for the last year, basically, thanks to COVID. But now that the studio's out of the way and you see the results, I have that big kind of chunk taken off my shoulders, and I get to return to focusing on this routine. And who knows, I may just have to implode every couple months when I just get destructive and I just have that week where I just, do whatever. But that could be part of it. That's where I'm at. And I also set up the video game stream. That's something I said I was going to do, and I did it. And I've been playing every time now I play video games. I'm pretty much streaming. It's John Famos live, and it's a really interesting experience. There is a lot of artists on Twitch, which is the service I use to live stream, that I see them playing live for people like in this in this like virtual audience, and they have 16 to 20,000 people watching them, and they're just playing guitar and singing over a backing track. And I thought about it, and that's the Scotia Bank Arena. 16,000, 20,000 people. They're basically playing the fucking ACC in their bedroom. And that was insane. And what was more insane is that person, I was watching a singular person, so I'm assuming there's a lot of people that do this. When they were done playing their music, they fired up the video game and they started playing Warzone on the same stream. They didn't pause it. They didn't switch audiences. The audience loved watching them make music and loved watching them play video games. And I literally almost shit. I almost shit in my pants. Because I was like, people do everything I think you're not supposed to do. There's someone doing it successfully, which means, why don't I just do what the fuck I want to do and try to be successful at it? Anyway, there's no right and wrong way. There's someone doing exactly how you want to live successfully. So anyway, yeah, that's where I'm at. little catch up. Tried to keep it current and not too reflective and introspective, but I can't help myself. But the last few podcasts, I had a guest. I made some content. So, I said every once in a while I like to do these, but, as long as it's not every podcast, but a little catch up, and keep your ears peeled. I'll be kind of updating on the songs through here and then also through my Instagram. And I appreciate everyone that's still kind of, although the podcast has taken a shift in the pandemic to be more me and less guests. I really appreciate the people that still listen. And I promise I will keep it going. And I promise I will get guests and stuff back on no matter what it takes, because I also really enjoy that. So stick with me, and thank you for your attention. Rock and roll. See you later.
She's got heart the same.